Hey everyone, it's Christian, and today I want to talk about creating a pairLab survey. In the experiment overview video, I talked about the three tools that together make an experiment, and they are a survey, check data, and results. Now, to create a survey, you can click the Create Survey button. There's two, one at the top, one at the bottom of your list here of experiments, or you could go up to the nav bar, click on it, and click New. So let's do that. Here we have a blank survey form. In the nickname field, this is where you give your pairLab experiment a name that you can remember. It's never shown to anyone, it's used only by you. Name it whatever you like. Next we have the question field. So write your question carefully and clearly. This is the question you're trying to answer with the experiment. Now, if you're familiar with the game Would You Rather, you know how to write a question. So like the game, you use the question to create a dilemma between two choices for your survey participants. Here are some examples. What do you prefer more in a job? Which color best represents the beach? Which feature do you value more in a laptop? A clear question gets survey participants to focus on the choices in front of them. You also want your question to be simple enough that the survey participant doesn't have to reread it every time they vote on an idea. So again, we want them to focus on the pair, not the question. And then finally, keep in mind that an experiment answers only one question. You may need more than one experiment to help you understand the problem you face. For example, let's say I'm building an intranet and I find that participants highly value a tool to locate the offices of their colleagues. So I ask myself, well, okay, what could this feature look like? I could build it with an offline map. Maybe there's a mobile wayfinding app. Maybe I just need to show a generic map in the browser. There are lots of ways I could go. Now, I know from my first experiment that I need this feature, but it takes an additional one to understand the details into what I have to build. So multiple experiments are good. Don't be afraid of them. Keep going until you get all the answers that you need. Next, we move to the survey status radio buttons. And this answers the questions: the survey open or closed to participants. Note you need a minimum of 3 ideas to open a survey, even if it's open through these radio buttons. You'll see a flag on the survey page if you need more ideas, and we'll see that actually in a couple of minutes. Be sure to close your survey when you have enough votes. You don't want to keep one open because someone could kind of stumble on it later, find it, and take it, and then mess with your results. So closing is good as well when you're all done. Then we get to the hello message and the goodbye message. And these bookend your survey with helpful information for your participants. Now for the hello message, be descriptive, but don't be too long. Consider asking for help too. Asking directly for help motivates many people to take your survey. And for the goodbye message, just keep it simple, keep it short. Simple thank you is appropriate, but you certainly can say more. Now, if you want your survey participants to see a simple display of the results when they complete the survey, you can choose Yes to show results to participants. You can include a link to another site at the end of the survey by specifying a URI in this Goodbye button link field. This is optional, and you know what? I don't always use it. I certainly don't use it when I'm embedding the survey in a web page because it doesn't usually make sense for me to push traffic to another site when I embed the survey. So sometimes useful, sometimes not. Okay, now we get to our demographic segments. Now these are really important. One is required, by the way, and you can have up to 3. So why are segments important? Well, for several reasons. First, they allow you to see the priority of subsets of your survey participants and to compare them. So for example, men and women who are taking your survey may have different priorities, and you may need to know that to make a good decision. Second, if you're looking to survey representative samples of certain groups that exist, segments can help you figure out if you're meeting your target. Here, I'll give you an example. In an experiment I did at Princeton, I knew my ratio of staff to faculty was 7-1, and a segment question asking, are you staff or faculty, helped me know if I needed to survey more of one of these groups because I hadn't attracted enough of them. It turned out that I did, and that was really helpful. And then finally, segments can serve as kind of a mini closed-ended survey. Now, in that same study, I asked survey participants if they believe the app I was building was needed, which I reported back to my bosses who were interested in that metric. Each segment consists of two things: a question, you can see that here in this shorter field, and a series of values. Keep your question simple, keep it straightforward, and when you're entering in values, add one value per line. Just hit the return button on your keyboard at the end of each line. All right. Okay, now we move on to the last field, participant goals. This tells pairLab whether it should consider the participants as part of a group with either common goals or part of a group with individual goals. And the reason is people vote differently depending on how connected they feel to you or your organization. Now, research tells us that people who feel they belong to a group will adopt the group's goals as their own and they will vote accordingly, as opposed to people whose goals are mutually exclusive of each other's. Now, pairLab takes this into account, and your choice here changes how the algorithm calculates results. And you can certainly change this at any time. You can midstream, doesn't matter. It's just about result calculation, not anything to do with people taking the survey. And then finally, when you're done, hit save. Now I'll fill in this form, click save, and show you what the survey looks like when you first create it. Now I've saved my new pairLab survey. And here's what I get. At the top, a green dialog button saying, hey, why don't you add some active ideas below, and here's how you do it. And I will get into detail on that in another screencast. Here is our nickname, our question, which of these ice cream flavors do you like more? And then our indicators and buttons. These are really important because the first one is the status indicator telling you whether the survey is open or closed. And if it's closed, it'll be red and say closed. If you don't have enough ideas, which you won't when you create a survey initially, you get this orange flag here that says the survey requires at least 3 to run. And notice below in active ideas, we have a count of 0. So as we add active ideas, you'll see this count go up. And then this orange flag will disappear. And then we have 2 buttons. One to the survey link. Click the survey link button to get a direct link to the survey, which you can send to participants. That's this here. If you wish to embed the survey in a web page, click Embed Code to get HTML code for an iframe, which you can copy here and paste in your web page. And that's what you need to know to create a pairLab survey.